This is a blog about what's happening around next to you.
It's an art, culture, current affairs website essentially. So what I'm trying to do is hopefully get it to the point where people are going to it as a news source about usually anything that's going on next Exeter.
What's it called?
It's called The Interview.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is it. And that's obviously the poster there.
Okay. Cool.
So that just shows you what we're doing. And then, just standard images. This is a press image of a play that I reviewed. Whatever, really. And then down the side you've got about, interviews, in pictures, review, minutes, schedule, that kind of thing. So this has only been going pretty much for about 2 weeks. And that's our kind of tagline. Keeping the conversation alive in Exeter's best arts venues. So that's the plan, really. So I've just come straight out of uni.
Cool. Were you doing journalism?
I wasn't. I was doing English Lit.
Okay.
But I was doing journalism in the sense that I had
kind of doing all this.
I was deputy culture editor of the student newspaper. Okay. So it's a pretty easy segue from there, really. You've done a lot of stuff there, so take it out and build your own version of it. Essentially, that's what I'm doing anyway.
Cool.
But I just wanted to have a chat after our serendipitous meeting the other day. And just ask you where this all came from. Where did it
BellHouse came from a commission call out by Collider, which is the Exeter-based production agency, in conjunction with the Met Office, to commission a piece of playable artwork for a European climate science organisation called Euporias, which was a 4-year partnership of European climate scientists and organisations to discuss the idea of climate services, and so their final General Assembly was last October, and that was at the Met Office, and so they commissioned a piece in some way that would respond to the delegates, or what the delegates were talking about, in some way, in a kind of playful sense, to sort of interrupt the proceedings a little bit. And so I am a potter, and ever since I was at college, I've been hitting my pots because I like the sounds they make. And I'm also interested in the idea of like participatory artwork. So the idea that as an audience, you have to get involved in the making of the artwork or co-creation of the artwork in some way. You have to kind of be part of that. And so I used to make objects which involved you kind of moving bits around within a space, and various other kind of projects that I've done. For the last sort of 12 or 15 years, I've been making pots with my partner Alice, and we make pots called under the name of Ramp, which stands for Roop and Al Make Pots.
Great.
And but this commission call out came out, and I saw it, and I thought it was too good an opportunity to miss. So I put forward this idea of like a sound piece which responded to movement. And as an educator, I work at the college on a foundation course. So I teach on the foundation course there, and we've been involved doing hackathons, which are kind of open-ended technology problem-solving events at the Met Office. And what I've noticed about kind of in being part of those kind of experiences is that places like the Met Office collect huge amounts of data, and it's about what they're mostly interested in, or one of the things that they're interested in, is how they communicate that data, to make it effective for us to understand and to act on in whatever way we feel is appropriate. And so in some ways what this does is, the aim of this object, the BellHouse, is to essentially translate the non-verbal communication of the climate scientists as they present their research, so their movements essentially, into the sound of bells. So what it was doing at the Met Office was filming or taking a video feed, and then it divides it up into a grid of squares. Each square corresponds to a pot, so there are 34 bells.
Fantastic.
And it turns that into, as you change the colour value, so you move across the that particular square, and it sends a signal via the internet from the computer to the Raspberry Pi on the BellHouse.
Sure.
That makes the bells. That essentially then operates one bell.
Okay.
And it does that every half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds, however much you decide to do.
Sure.
And so essentially we can also record that information, so we can put it on. So once the person is talking in front of it and the BellHouse is ringing, we can record that and then play it back to the delegate. So we were allowing them to do that, and then come back and play it, and they could listen to their own climate science in the sound of bells. That's the idea.
Amazing.
And then also what it will do is, because it plays video information, you can put a video through the software and it will play that. So a lot of mental health scientists make video animations of weather patterns and so on, and you can think about all of that sort of stuff. So we play stuff like the summer of 1976, wind directions and movements and strengths, historical data from Antarctica from 1912 to 1914, which is all old data, so taken from ships' logs that were going around the Antarctic at that time, recording stuff, and plumes from Mount Etna, forecast plumes and observed plumes. Loads of things basically. And what was interesting then was how sometimes the Met Office scientists would, on occasions they kind of start to talk about their data, what it sounded like, and then they'd just for kind of fun essentially just sort of play with that data a little bit in the sense of reconfigure how the data was visualized. So using the same data, come back the next day or a couple of days later with the same data but played in, like, visualized in a slightly different way, and then hear what that sounded like. And that was really exciting, because it was like, okay, so in a sense it's allowing the Met Office scientists to be a bit more creative or play with their data. And
cool.
So that's what we kind of did at the Met Office, and we started those kind of conversations, and it got us thinking about, obviously the Met Office is a secure environment. You can't go there unless you're a Met Office scientist, or so this exhibition in the library is like the first time it's been out in public space, and so we've been trying to, and it's about the most accessible space in the city, as far as we can work out. And so we've had everybody come through in the last 3 weeks. It's been crazy. And we've just been, in a sense, interacting with as many different types of people, yourself included, and playing different things, from bounce and rhyme sessions in there, so recording mums and babies, kind of playing that on the to networking sessions, to public roadshows about new research centres at the university, to what else have we played? We played the Fab Lab, so just people moving around in the Fab Lab making stuff, and what does that sound like? People coming in and out of the quiet room, all just huge. I've got lists and lists. We've had conversations with Free Conversations, which you were part of last Wednesday, so kind of people coming and having a chat, and we were recording that and playing that at the same time. And then we've also been doing interactions with specific people. So today we're talking about kind of communication in a dementia healthcare context, and how we begin to, or how, not necessarily BellHouse, but how we think about communication in those environments, and how that might be something that we can explore and discuss. And really it's about bringing people to the BellHouse to discuss those, to think about different ways that might work.
Fantastic.
And if one thing that the BellHouse does is basically make everything completely, in a conventional sense, all the communication ununderstandable, but that in some way helps us to reflect maybe on how we communicate and what is understood by our communication. So that's basically what it is.
Just to clarify a few things then, the way I understood it the first time I came in, it was, to me, responding to your conversation rather than your image. Is it actually more about the image, the video?
Initially, it responds to movement.
Yes.
So all it's doing is sampling colour value.
Right.
We are working on an audio interface, and part of this is a collaboration with lots of different people. So the Met Office Informatics Lab helped to build the software.
Sure.
Some of the guys from the Fab Lab helped to work on this. One thing I should also say is that this exhibition has been supported in a sense, or this project after the Met Office, being supported by Arts Council funding, which has enabled us to do this in here and me to spend the time doing this, which is great.
It's good to know that there is that.
Yeah. No, it's been brilliant. And the Libraries Unlimited and the Geography department at the university have all kind of, got together to make this happen.
Brilliant.
It's quite a big thing.
Yes, it is a big thing. And I wondered if you'd experienced any kind of either drawbacks or if you'd been a bit nervous about putting it into this space.
No, I think it's been a really positive experience being in the library, in terms of working with the library itself, also with and the staff here who've all been really welcoming of it and really happy to kind of engage and participate and tell people about it. But in terms of the general public, it's been really positive. I mean, there are a few times that kids have played with them and broke bits of it and stuff, but that's fine. I kind of expected that to happen. And it's all fairly kind of well stuck down. So it's we've done quite a lot of risk assessment and all of that kind of business to make sure that it's in a safe space. So and for the most part, the reception by the public has been pretty positive.
Yeah, I was going to ask that as well.
That's been great, really, really
fantastic.
Good. Yeah, and I think the main thing about being in the library is just the sheer diversity of people who come in, and and that's been really great. So just as many people as I could think of. I mean, I'm sure you could think of more people that don't access the library or wouldn't normally access the library, but in terms of one place where an object like this could be in the city, where as many different types of people could in, I can't think of anywhere necessarily that would be as.
No.
So it's been great, and we've just been sort of here for the last 3 weeks, basically playing things, talking to people, and gathering information. I feel a bit like an anthropologist with a strange field recording thing that just turns it into a jumble of sounds. And so I'm collecting stuff, knowing that I will be doing less of that in a few months to come, but processing that information and working out new things to do. So with this dementia idea or the conversation that we're having, really thinking about how that in BellHouse might impact with that, and think about taking it into different places.
And have you scored many kind of gigs out of doing this?
I don't know if it's necessarily about that idea, although we are thinking about how it might go to different places beyond this. And part of the project, in terms of what we applied for grant funding from the Arts Council for, was to consolidate the project. So we built a website and we're documenting the interactions that we have.
Sure.
But also consolidating the technology so that it can be used by anybody. So I could put it in the library and then go away, and then the library staff could just turn it on in the morning, and it would work and it would do
fantastic.
things. Because a lot of issues about a lot of this stuff is that a lot of the software and the hardware is relative. We developed it all for this commission, and so in its initial stages, it was kind of prototype material, and it was quite hard to work on. Or to turn on, even for several months. It was you kind of needed to be a computer scientist to turn it on. So we've been developing that stuff in order to make it, like I say, usable by anybody, so that we could put it in different contexts and not have to be there all the time.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay. So I guess just to get a little bit of a feel for you as a person.
Yeah.
When did you decide that POTS was your thing? What was that about?
So I was at school, and I made a pot for a history project. Actually, I was lucky enough that it was a workshop at the school I went to, and so I made some pots, and I just really enjoyed it. I got the bug, and then I've been doing it ever since. I had that kind of moment. I went, I'm going to make pots. That's it.
Fantastic. And if it wasn't pots, what would it be?
I have no idea, actually. I think that would have been a really. I think I was a pretty angry teenager, so.
You've got to be quite kind of careful with pots, haven't you? You can't be throwing them against the wall or anything.
That's
is it aggressive procedure? I know nothing about
it.
It's
I think it's just a particular type of thing. It's very malleable material. You could it's very simple. You can do, you squeeze it. That's why it works for 2-year-olds as well as 80-year-olds, in a sense. You can manipulate it very easily, and then you can begin to make things. And it there is a way of working with, like any material, there's a way of working with that material, and it sort of suited my temperament. It can be a lot of the processes are very mechanical, and therefore you repeat them a lot, and so it can be quite meditative. I think a lot of people find it very therapeutic. I think that's probably what locked me onto it in the first place, and you never quite know what you're going to expect. So you can do all of this stuff and then put it in the kiln, and it will come out a completely different colour, or it will break, or it will do stuff, and I quite like that. Because
do you have a favourite pot
of these?
Yes.
There's probably one or two. There's one at the top, at the back, in the middle, which I quite like. But I'm like notoriously unprecious about my pots, because I just make a lot of them, and I make pots aside from these, and I think what I most enjoy is the process of making them.
Yes.
And then once they're made, then they exist, and people do things with them. In this context, they get hit a lot, and I'm not so worried. And we tend to keep some pots back because we need to look at them and think about them and work out why we're interested in them. And those are the ones that I guess. So we've got a big collection of pots at home, which we just kept back because they're kind of important in some way or another. Sure. So, but yeah, I'm not too. It's a kind of. I'm not too precious about most of my pots, because the ones that you really get precious about, somebody goes and breaks them, and that's it. So I just go like,
I wondered.
I've made it. That's it. It's good. Yeah.
I wondered how you get the colour to work for you.
That's just coloured clays. That's all.
It's the clay itself.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to have to put these guys.